Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. It seems like this article finally came up, or at least someone said it out loud, because I've been saying this for a long time already. But hey, let's see what's going on here. I think each thing at its time. So we have here an article from Yahoo Benzinga. I don't know what Benzinga is, but I found it Yahoo, so that should be legit. By Shanti Rexalin. Monday, January 30th, 2023. Putin's ally on how to force West to negotiate. Position hypersonic missiles to hit US in 5 minutes. Yeah, like Cuba and Nicaragua. Those are the ones that could help. As Russian troops continue military operations in the then more than 4-month-old war against Ukraine, tempers were flying high. What is this guy talking about? As Russian troops continue military operation in the then more than 4-month-old war against Ukraine, tempers were flying high. Okay. Andrei Gurulyov. This article is from January 30th. Okay. A crony of President Vladimir Putin and a Duma member reportedly told Russia 1 that Russia should look to recreate the Cuban Missile Crisis. Well, that's not hard at all. The Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962 saw the United States and the now defunct Soviet Union prepping for nuclear missile attacks, the former positioning them in Italy and Turkey and the latter in Cuba. Nah, that's incorrect. The Jupiter missiles, yes, they were in Turkey, but there were no nuclear missiles in Cuba, my boy or my girl. My girl, I think your name, right? I will think she's a girl, but anyway. So yeah, I know that's how the story goes, but prepping for nuclear missile attacks, the former positioning them in Italy and Turkey and the later in Cuba. No, there were no rockets with nuclear heads in Cuba. Got that? They were in Italy and Turkey. I know in Turkey for sure, the Jupiter ones. The only way to bring the Western nations to the negotiation table is to launch a threat against Washington, Gurulyov reportedly said. He recommended that Russia position hypersonic missile close to the US borders, and I'm quoting, with a flight time of 5 minutes maximum. And I'm quoting, Biden will keep sitting there and stuttering, but the rest will think about how to negotiate, end quote, the Putin aide reportedly said. Only a direct threat to the US and the UK will force all of them to the negotiating table, where everyone can maintain their interests, end quote, he added. These latest comments from a Putin ally came after British Prime Minister Boris Johnson pointed out that the Russian president has threatened a nuclear attack dozens of times. In an interview during the NATO summit in Madrid, Spain, Johnson said a recent analyst found about 13 mentions by Putin of potentially using nuclear weapons. He says the story was originally published on July 3rd, 2022. Well, even if this was punished there, I think it's still valid, and it's republished now on Monday, the 30th, because I think it still bears true that if Russia will make such a move, the Americans and the other ones will just, I don't know, fly a handle or something. They will get very angry and they will be, oh my God, you can't do that. Only we can bring stuff next to your borders, but you can't. Well, that's how the story goes. It's double standard, but it's not double standard. It's the fact that we were trained to think in these terms of justice and equality in front of the law, equal access to law, to the opportunities. That's how we were, stay in line, get a ticket, and stay over there until someone calls your name and you go to over there at the desk and You solve your problem, civilize, and wait your time. But the real world is not really like that. At least the world I experience. I don't know about you guys, but if you stay in line, sometimes if you know someone, you don't have to stay in line. You get called at the office, and your thing gets solved right there, and everybody else don't even know what happened, right? Or if you need an appointment and say, oh, you call and oh my God, you have an appointment when in in a month. But if you know someone, you can be seen tomorrow in the office by the same company, by the same. Why? If you know someone. So that tells you, know that all these things with no, 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 if I do this, you can do that too. When they tell you here, unfortunately, when they tell you the rule-based order, world order, international community, international law, just look, for instance, at the record. Don't have to believe me. Just check the United Nations vote, for instance, on condemning United States' embargo on Cuba. How many years? 30 some years. They did it every year, I think. I know the embargo is more longer than that, but it's just I think it's like 1965 or something like that. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. But for the past, I don't know, 30 some years, 32 years, each and every year, the assembly votes to condemn the US's embargo. And what does the United States do? That's what they do. You know exactly what it is. And not only that, you want to look at something else. Look, for instance, at the Middle East. Why do you think? Why do you think things don't get solved over there? I mean, the international law is clear on that. The territories. That's what the United Nations. If I get a territory through conquer, through war, after the hostilities, I give that territory back. I can't incorporate it in my country because that would mean that I conquered it for. But that's how the international law. I'm just paraphrasing. States. Can you give me examples on this planet where there are certain countries that took over a certain kind of land and never gave it back? What happened to that? Condemned by United Nations, no international law, the world community. Nothing happened. So it's not about that. It's just who can cut the line, will cut the line, and what are you gonna do about it? That's always the bottom line. Is this? What are you gonna do about it? What can you do about it? Nothing. Then shut up. You know, it happened to me many times, and I was on both positions, both sides. When I was the one seeing someone cutting the line and having the problem solved before me, and I was the one who I was called and I cut the line. Did I like that? No, I didn't like that at all. I felt embarrassed. I felt, but you get to a point where you think, okay, I have instead of waiting here, I don't know, 5 hours, that could be solved in 2 minutes. What do you pick? You say 5 hours of your life, and you say, well, yeah, it's not right, it's not just. But you look around and say, well, do I know these people? No, they're fellow human beings, but yeah, but 5 hours of my life, I can do a lot of things in 5 hours, and I don't. Why do I care about these guys? And this is the process of conscious works on you. It depends what kind of values you have, but I'm pretty sure we are not pure as we think we are, and we're not so honest and just and all that. We're trying, and that's the first step. The first step is to, acknowledge your defects and try to, change them, turn them into, make them better. To have value, to give value to certain things, to have, principles and follow those principles. You might. That's a process. It's not, I have a principle. Yeah, you can't always follow that. I will always tell the truth. That's one of a principle. I'm a principled man. I'm a just man. You can't always do that. It's a process. It's a process. That's why I say, well, the United States failed its I don't know, the Constitution, and it failed its initial freedom, equality for all, and freedom, and they had slave and all that. Yeah, that's true. Initially it was like that, but it's a process. A process. Show me another country, or show me other countries. How many? Well, it's a process of evolving. Now it's like, I think it's not evolving socially. I think it's devolving. But that's my assessment. I'm entitled to have that because I look at the things that are written over there. I look at history. I see the direction other empires or important countries, dominant countries, failed and where they failed, and I'm seeing this country doing the same mistake. Why? Not because these guys are bad or whatever, it's because they are, oh, we wanted it to fail. No, that's the way it happened all the time. When we got too comfortable, then we screwed up. Why? Because we have limitations. Look at the one just to start with, could be just the cycle of civilizations. I think it's about 9 or 8. I think eight stages, the 8 stages of civilization. Look at them. And you see that the empires are going through all those stages. More or less, sometimes they speed up through some, but they all go through, it's like a human being. You get through all the stages of cognitive development. You take Piaget, right, for the children. You take the physical development, you get a social development, you got all that, and then we all end up in the same spot unless we earlier, because pom pom, tom tom, whatever happens to us. But we all potentially have the same cycle, the same with the empires, the same with the countries. These are living organisms because they're formed by living organisms. So the same here. We expect, the Americans to say, yeah, it's fine, Putin, you can put your weapons here because I have them in Romania. I have rockets in Turkey. I have rockets in Poland. I intend to put them in Ukraine, and therefore you can have them in Cuba or in Nicaragua. Why would I say Nicaragua and Cuba? These are the most likely locations where Putin can have them. I mean, or you can just go over there and get some submarines and locate them right over there, which they are, I'm pretty sure, and just say you're next to the territorial waters of the United States of America, and position about 7 of them, 7 submarines, which I'm pretty sure they are already there. And make noise and say, they're over there, we go over there, we send pictures and, be that kind of person. Yeah, that's been, I don't think these guys will say, let's negotiate. I think they will say, well, so Third World War, we're going to attack, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. They're not going to come to the negotiation table. We'll see. But I mean, everything at its time. And I'm sure that Russia thought about this many, many times before we thought about it, or I thought about it. I'm pretty sure they had it over there. But probably it's not, viable, feasible. Maybe the Cubans don't want to get in. The Nicaraguans don't want to get into that, or whatever. Or maybe they don't want to escalate to that position. Maybe they think it's not going to work, and then what? Yeah, you do that, then what? What if the Americans do this? What are they going to do next? And you realize it's a losing game, so therefore you don't even start. Anyway, the idea, I think, could help, but I'm pretty sure those guys took more scenarios into consideration, and they decided not to do it at this time or ever. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.